Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we have another NXT review here. Honestly, NXT's just been such a hot show. I don't really understand how well they put together their matches that, like, I don't understand why, like, the main roster doesn't take a little bit of suit sometimes because the problem with NXT, if you're going to go with a negative, is that their promos always are a little bit flat, but it makes sense because they're trying to learn promos and stuff. So some of their stuff is just always like not the greatest or kind of, dull or boring or once, like 1D type thing where it's just barely just it's there, but it's just on the surface. But their matches just absolutely go hard. And right now, Nia Jax is on a generational run. Like the show started off with Nia Jax and Lash Legend, and I'm never gonna say anything necessarily like good or bad about Nia Jax's main roster run because it's like I think she has a limitation to what she can do in the ring that she's shown. Like I said, shown, not that she actually physically has that limitation. And she's gone down in NXT and just been like, I'm gonna pull out all the stops. And I mean, she pulled out all the stops against uh, uh, Thea Hill last week, and this Lash Legend match was great. I do really think that like Nia might have a good little run here. I think they need to have her maybe do one or two more matches, even if she's defeating people, which sometimes you want to put that person over. I think if she goes and defeats like two more people that are towards like the middle or bottom of the roster and then has a rematch against Lash and then Lash beats her, that will be a perfect run and it will encompass like maybe a month or two. And she's having phenomenal matches. Like, this is like great. I mean, she pulled out what is it, a triangle like choke arm, a hold. I can't even think of it. It was so crazy. This was just extremely underrated. Like if you haven't seen any of her last two matches, these two are worth it. And if you're gonna watch one, this is it. So I'm putting it up in A tier. Like I said, it was phenomenal. I mean, obviously Lash is a star. Like if I was just rating Lash's stuff, I think I'd put it up in S. Put Nia's in an A because Lash did amazing grabs and tosses and made Nia Jax just look like like she has no strength, like she was just tossing her like it was nothing. And I think that's always great to see when you have people like this that you can absolutely show off by just kind of manhandling a bigger opponent. But Nia also got her licks in to show that she's just not like that big monster, that she can go out there and just do a lot of stuff. And hey, I thought this was great. So next up we had Joe Hendry and Charlie Dempsey. This has just been stemming from really not much of anything, just to kind of have Joe Hendry on the show and give him something to do. Ren Sinclair said his name, and they just kind of had a friendly match. Honestly, I thought it was pretty decent. I don't think it was anything too crazy. I do feel like they just kind of like should have made it longer. I don't know why they decided to make this match literally like three. It was like 4 minutes. It was just not the thing because it just Charlie Dempsey's taken so many L's. I mean, he did get the one win from against Tavion, but he lost to Tavion, lost to Miles Board, now lost to Joe Hendry. I just feel like they could have done something a little different, just a little bit more time. I thought the match was pretty solid for the time it was. I'll put it in the B. I mean, it felt more than 4 minutes until after I saw that, so I guess that's something. But yeah, overall, I don't think I could put it much higher. Then we had God, Josh Briggs come down, talking about his former partner and all that, and then eventually they brawl. The storyline's fine. It's just been kind of a little slow for me. Like I feel like they should have already just have their match and be over with. I think they're trying to like hold it off so it's going to be on Heat Wave, but I feel like there could have been, like we don't need to be like like it doesn't need to be talked about every single time. So I'll put it in C. The brawl was fine. It just wasn't anything too crazy. Next up, we had a tag match. It was Lola Vice and Keelani Jordan versus Fatal Influence. Honestly, just mainly surprised about this match is that that JC Jane took the pin, which I guess is just a setup that like Kalani Jordan does possibly have the rights to challenge her at some point. and might be the person that they decide to go with. The tag match itself, I thought was pretty good. A lot of like interference on the outside with Jasmine Nix in the towards the end of it, but I think overall it was a pretty good match. Lola Vice had some really good moves out there. She's been getting better and better. The problem was like with Lola Vice is that she was so good and was so hot to of a start, and then that that feud with Roxanne Perez and her promos that she was cutting in that just killed all of her momentum. And I think she's finally back on track with using a lot of AAA stuff. And obviously, this match is one of them where it's just a really good match. So I'm gonna put it up in B. It could very close be to A. I kind of flip flopped on what I was gonna originally rate it, but I think overall it's a solid B. B is always a good thing. Then we had Chelsea Green and Ethan Page in the backstage. It was like multiple segments of just them talking about how Canada's better than America, and it eventually led to Alba Fire taking a match with Kendall Gray, which honestly, just having Kendall Gray on the main roster is pretty good. I mean, I watch Evolve a lot, and I like her on Evolve a lot, so I was like, hey, get a nice NXT match here. Hopefully, it's a more permanent thing. But back to the promos, I thought everything was pretty good back there. We got to see some extra people. They showed Callie Armstrong, Chantel Monroe. You know, it's interesting who they show, like if those are people that they plan on eventually giving, you know, a push to. But if this is going to set up, you know, some stuff later on, I think with Chelsea Green and Ethan Page. So I thought it was pretty good. I'll put it up in A. I don't think I disliked it. Don't think it was the best thing ever. It's just a setup thing for probably a match at Heatwave, and we're just that's the only problem. Heatwave is like so far away that I feel like they've just been trying to set up stuff, but it's gonna be kind of a little bit long. But then we get to that match that I mentioned, Alba Fire versus Kendall Gray. Wasn't a very fast match, but honestly, it shouldn't be. Alba Fire is, you know, the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion. She's a main roster person against somebody who's in between Evolve and NXT. I think Kendall Gray did really good with her time and stuff. Um, as the alarm goes off that I should be awake. But I would put this in a solid C. You know, it was a good match. Wasn't anything too crazy. 4 minutes. I mean, it didn't feel exactly like a squash match. Kendall Gray looked like she had some offense in and then just got taken out fast by Alba Fire, which was valid. Then we had a backstage thing with Blake Monroe. She's talking about Ava was also with her and telling her that Jordan Grace will be sitting down with her next week. Honestly, again, I feel like a lot of this is just a slow burn. Like I feel like we should have had something happen. Like we should have a match with this being so far between the two PLEs. I think they just kind of are struggling to keep these storylines afloat. They're just trying to like throw us little breadcrumbs. I'll put it in B. It was fine to see her on TV, but other than that, it wasn't really worth anything. Then we had Ethan Page cut a promo, and then Tavion Heights come down. I'll start with the first part. I think Tavion Heights is like perfect person to be going after the North American title. I honestly think he'd be a good person to dethrone it. I'm really down for this, and I'm down for like what they're gonna do probably next week or the week after. So I'm gonna put that up in A. And then speaking of next week, you know the whole thing is with Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. You can get a mixed tag match, and obviously with Tavion Heights being out of the God, what Charlie Dempsey's group, that he can't have Ren Sinclair there, so he's going to take Tyra May Steele, which again is kind of confusing because she got demoted, now she's back onto the main roster, and she's kind of like in storylines and Evolve, and I know Evolve's like filmed in the past, so hopefully they wrap that up and she just it makes sense, I guess. So I guess we'll see. But I'm here for that mixed tag match, so I'm gonna put it up in A. So if this is leading to a mixed tag match, I'm cool with this. Even a one-on-one with like Tyra Still and Chelsea Green. If we can get some of all of those type of matches, I'm gonna be here for this. Then we finish off the show in a 8-man tag match: the Dark State versus Moose, Obafemi, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams. Now, obviously, easy highlight of the show is Javon Evans. I mean, obviously, everything he does out there is just crazy, and it is no different here. He absolutely just he destroyed it, man. Like this was a crazy match for him and gave him a lot of momentum going into his match against Trick next week for the number one contendership for the NXT title. I do think Javon should be the one that takes it. The only reason I'd say Trick maybe is if Trick loses the TNA title upcoming, and that he like that's what they want him to do, is just be part of NXT. But Obafemi, I don't think is gonna lose the title anytime soon unless he's main roster bound. That's the crazy thing, is he's just a great champion there, and they should just let him stay as champion. There's really no point of doing anything to him until he's ready to leave, unless you got somebody so hot that it's worth taking over. And I don't think any of those men are the people to do it right now. I mean, obviously Trick Williams already had it. Javon Evans is still a little green in his promo skills. I think his wrestling is superior, but I guess we'll see. This match itself, I thought was pretty good. Obviously, a lot of good spots from a lot of the guys on there. Dark State did Dark State things. I mean, I don't think they're necessarily bad. I do think it was good that they got the win here, but they do kind of just lacked a little bit of luster that a lot of like spooky dark groups do. Like when they're in the shadows and attacking, they look badass, but when they're actually in the ring, they're just men. Like they just they don't have much of a difference or anything super unique about them. So I thought overall I'd put this match in an A, but it's just like very, very close to being an A. Overall, I'll put the show into an A also. I feel like most everything was pretty good. The things that were a little bit lower on the list were not necessarily that they were bad, it was just not my personal like. So I'm not gonna ding it the whole entire show for that, because honestly all these matches and segments and stuff were all like a pretty solid thing for the show. So you could easily put these segments up into B, even the match if you I'm not a big fan of just like a quick match. Like even if you're gonna have a domination type match, or like a steamroll, I still think you should let the opponent have a couple more extra things. This one, like I said, I thought it was done pretty decent. It just wasn't amazing. Like they had very limited time to do stuff. And the same with the Charlie Dempsey match. It was just like they did really good for that time, but it's like you can't really get super high up on that. But yeah, like I said, overall show A. But if you guys like these type of videos, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.